Ryan here with my 2000 M5. Welcome to E39 Source and the final update for this car in calendar year 2014. It's driven its last mile. It's cold outside. It's 34. It was snowing a little bit earlier. But I was able to drive it a little bit here into the first week in November. So this is it. In this video, it's not a DIY on how to store your car. I'm not experienced enough. I'm not a professional. I don't do this very often. This is my first time ever storing a vehicle. So really this is just what I have done and am going to do, and you can do whatever you like, but I'm just going to detail the steps that I have taken to store this car. So last time I drove it, I completely filled it up with gas. Top it off until you think it's about to come off. You want to do that so there's less room in the tank for moisture to build up or just rust anything in there. So you want it to be totally full of gas. Drive it home, get it nice and warm, burn anything out of the oil that shouldn't be in there, turn it off, put it in the garage. So then I came in here, and with the key in, I turned off my vents, so the valves or whatever in the firewall shut. You don't want any critters moving around. I also came inside and closed all of these vents too. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the one in the rear console. So those are all closed. Interior cleaning, I just did a vacuuming. I keep this car incredibly clean as usual. If you were to have anything in here, I just take it out. Any bit of food obviously would come out. I'd never eaten this car. So I just took all the floor mats out, cleaned the carpet in the car, then I cleaned the mats, vacuumed the seats out, ran a damp cloth over the dashboard and center console to clean up any dust. And that's gonna finish up the inside. While I'm here, I will show you my recent milestone of 188,026. So 188,000 miles now on this guy. I think that is about 4, 5, 6,000 miles this year, which is half of what I usually do. So that's nice. I keep the miles coming on a little slower now. 3.3 miles since my last fill up, so it's completely full. That's how long it took me to get home from the gas station. Also, on the subject of gas, it's a good idea, depending on how long you're storing it, to use stabilizer. I used about 8 ounces of stable fuel stabilizer in there. That'll just keep the fuel fresher. And you want to use the highest octane gas when you fill it up. So I always use 93 anyways, but if you don't, you should. It'll last longer. So then exterior cleaning, I keep the outside pretty damn clean as well, but I did go over everything with spray wax. If your car is dirty, wash it. Don't use spray wax. So I did a coat of Z6. For those of you familiar with Zano products, I did the wheels, cleaned up the tires, the wheel wells. You want to clean off any bit of dirt, anything on the paint especially. I cleaned the glass, then I went over it with Z8 as a final coat of protection. A more robust wax would be a good idea. I have such a wax buildup on this car already, I didn't need to do that, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. Now you can probably notice down here, there is a sheet of plastic. This is what we use to store my dad's 98 Ferrari 355 in here over the winter. It was long enough for that car, it really isn't long enough for this car. I'm using it as a vapor barrier. As things get cold, concrete sweats, you'll get moisture. Who knows, it'll go up into the car, make some more rust. There's enough rusty bolts under there, I don't need any more. So I had it up in the attic, I just brought it down. And it's covering the majority, you know, a foot in front of the front wheels and a foot behind the rear wheels, the entire undercarriage, just except for the exhaust and the plastic belly pan in the front. So that is my vapor barrier for the car. I have not yet, but I am planning on stuffing the exhaust pipes. You don't want anything moving in there, so I'm just gonna get some pieces of cloth or something and make sure that it's nice and tight in all 4 exhaust outlets. Another good idea would be lubricating your seals. I happened to do this a few months ago. All of these rubber seals here, you don't want those drying out or sticking, so some sort of lubrication on those. Mine are nice and soft, nice and fresh anyway, so I'm not gonna do that now since I had previously done that in the spring. Another thing you can do to deter pests would be some dryer sheets, maybe 1 on each piece of carpeting in the car. And then a couple under the car. That will help get rid of some pests as well. So you probably saw my air compressor here from about 1950. I've been using that because it's a lot faster than using a hand pump to inflate the tires. Since your car is going to be sitting for a while, or since this car is going to be sitting for a while, I think it's best that we pump the tires up to around the maximum that the sidewall says. So these are Pilot Super Sports All Season 3s. And if you read the sidewall, it says max PSI 51. So I did 50.5 pounds. I'd like to be on the south side of that line. So increased pressure will just help alleviate flat spots. Now, wouldn't be a bad idea if you come out here every month, 6 weeks, give a little push so it goes back a foot, another push so it goes up a foot. Just kind of keep it moving a little bit so you don't wear some flat spots in your tires, although I'm sure they would smooth themselves out once the car goes back out in the spring. One other thing I read online was talking about wiper blades, how they could freeze or seize or otherwise get stuck to the windshield, and how it would be a good idea to put a piece of cellophane or some sort of paper in between the glass surface and the rubber surface. Or better yet, you could just take the wiper blades off and then stick them inside somewhere warm. I'm not going to bother with that. I don't want to strip the car clean of floor mats and wiper blades and stuff like that. I do want to be able to drive it if an unusual weather week comes up sometime between now and March, and we get a week that is in the 50s with dry roads without salt on them. That's very unlikely compared to our last few winters, but it is possible, and it's happened before. So I don't want to make it totally undrivable. Some people would say put it up on jack stands. You won't have to worry about your tires getting flat spots. I don't want to do that. I just want it parked in here. I want it clean and covered, and be able to take it out if I want to. So I'm just going to leave this here. I might get some 8x10 pieces of paper or something and stick those under there, but I don't foresee that being a problem. So my final steps that I'm going to do are going to be the dryer sheets, putting some stuff in the exhaust pipes, and then covering it. The big thing that I'm still unsure about is the battery. You can use battery chargers, trickle chargers, take the battery out, leave it in and start it. I don't really like any of these ideas. The battery charger that I have is this Napa 80 amp. It's not really it's not a trickle charger. It's from Turner Motorsport. It's more of a charger. So I don't think I'm going to use that. My goal is going to be to start it, let it warm up and rev every, I'm going to say 4 to 8 weeks. Reason being, this car has never been stored before. It's driven its entire life of almost 15 years and 188,020, what, 3, 6, 8 miles in all kinds of conditions. So it's used to being used. The seals get warm and expand, and I don't want to completely take that luxury away from the car. So I'll let it get warm every once in a while just to hopefully keep things from leaking too much. So that means I'm going to leave the battery connected in the trunk. I will probably leave the car actually unlocked just to diminish the drain that the alarm system would have on the car. So I'll leave it unlocked. Oh, another thing is you don't want to use your parking brake. One, you're just going to wear out the springs and the tension and the cables and all of that. So don't bother with your parking brake. Plus your pads could seize to your drums or rotors, and you don't want that either. I'm also going to leave the car in neutral. Now, of course, depending on where your car is stored, here in a flat garage, I really don't anticipate the slope of my garage changing. So I'm going to leave it in neutral. Reason being, if we leave it in first, it's over here, and you're compressing the spring that brings it back to center, and I don't want to leave that compressed for 4 or 5 months either way. So we'll just leave it in neutral. It's not going to go anywhere. I can push it around if I need to, and since it's unlocked, it won't freak out due to the car moving. With my particular cover, which I will film a clip when I'm completely done storing, probably tonight or tomorrow, it fits significantly better if I leave my mirrors folded up like this. It doesn't have mirror socks. I didn't get the BMW cover. It had horrible reviews, so I ended up with the carautocovers.com, I think, the 5-layer outdoor cover. I went with an outdoor cover because if it's real windy outside and we have any snow or rain, it'll blow into the garage door. The garage door then opens. The seams where the panels move, as you can see, can then seep or drip, and I don't want that landing on the car, getting absorbed in fabric, and then staying against my clear coat for who knows how long until it evaporates over winter. So that's the purpose of the outdoor cover, plus it's a little thicker, it's a better cover. So I'll have that on, I'll have the exhaust pipes full, stuffed full, and that'll probably be the next clip. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video here in a few minutes. Got the car totally cleaned. I detailed all of that process. The final 2 things that I did today were stuffing the exhaust with newspapers. I used newspapers over some sort of cloth just because it's readily available and it's free, and they're nice and tight. Nothing's going to get in or out of there until I remove them, so I won't forget about that. But something to note, it's a good idea if you're permanently storing your car for, say, a longer period of time. You're probably going to be busy and not be thinking about it, and you just want to drive it when you come back to it. It would be wise to get a sticky note or a piece of paper to put on the steering wheel or the seat or the dashboard or somewhere very obvious, that when you get in the car, you remember what you did. You remember that you put that in the exhaust. If you start it and try to drive it with that in the exhaust, you're going to have crazy back pressure. It's not going to be a good thing. Also, should you have disconnected a battery or whatever else you did, you probably don't want to drive it too far with 50.5 pounds of air in your tires, stuff like that. Just to be able to prep the car before you do take it out again, and however long you plan on letting it sit. So anyways, this is the cover from Car Auto Covers. I'm not doing a review, it's not a sponsor, I don't even know if I recommend their product. As I said before, it's an outdoor cover, so it's kind of a more aggressive, waterproof exterior material. It is 5 layers. It's not crazy thick, but it's pretty thick. It's as thick as, it's thicker than any kind of shirt you're going to put on. Does not have mirror covers, as I noted before, so I just folded the mirrors up. This being an M5, it has the out-of-folding mirrors. And I actually kind of like it like that because it's holding this away from the body a little bit. So a little bit of air in there for it to breathe, as well as less paint contact. Anything that touches your paint without a lubricant, such as spray wax, is going to scratch your paint. Microscopically, yes, but it's going to scratch your paint. And that's why you only put a car cover on a perfectly clean car. If you cleaned it and it sits for a week, it's dusty. You should spray wax it again. I had about an hour that this car sat. After I spray waxed it, I looked on top, there was some dust. I got one of the Zano blonde towels and just went over it real lightly, just to get rid of that dust. So everything's covered except for the bottom 2 inches of the wheels. This particular cover has some straps on it. Right here, they're adjustable, so you can tighten that up. Now, being an outdoor cover, it's kind of built to be outside. That'll keep it on the car. It's not going to blow away. This one also has this little hole here that you can get another strap and run under the car and make it nice and tight against the rockers. Being stored in a garage, I have no need for that. Something else to note, when you're cleaning the car, notice how this comes down pretty far here by the rockers. Wouldn't be a bad idea, and I did do this, to lay on your back, get down under there and clean the bodywork as far as it goes, and maybe even up to the jack points, just because you don't want that, if it's outside especially, getting dirt on it and rubbing against your paint as you take it on, put it on and take it off, any sort of that kind of stuff. So just be careful with it. It's a science, and I don't know the beginnings of it, but this is where it'll sit. I'm going to leave it unlocked, and we'll probably have another update should I find some nice weather to take it out, or when spring rolls around in 29,000 months, and we'll be able to uncover it, drive it, burn the stale gas out of it, and start it up again and enjoy it. So that is the fall or the winter update on this vehicle. It's sad and depressing, but that's what the state of Ohio is. In a determined amount of time of, unfortunately, about 2 years, we'll have this car in San Diego, California, where it will never need to be stored, and it will always be driven, and things will be better. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait to join the Southern California car culture. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll have some videos on the 330. Most likely, I have not put those snow tires on yet, but I do plan to do that very soon, and we'll talk about how that thing does in the snow. So thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in a future video. Bye-bye.